Hello humans, it's just Martine, and welcome to the first vlog of BUZZWORDATHON 2023. Every year for the 12 TBRs of Christmas, I do 2 vlogs on the last 2 days of the year where I do the BUZZWORDATHon challenge for the year created by Kayla from Books and Lala. These are the prompts from this year and the books I'll be reading. So it's January. It's actually a ways into January now. I think it's the 13th, and I haven't started my book yet, but I want to this weekend, so I thought I'd start this vlog at the same time. The buzzwords for January are life and death. So I decided that I would be reading How You Ruined My Life by Jeff Strand. This is a YA book that I got at the Dollar Tree one time. So I'm excited about it. Hopefully I'll get to reading this weekend and I'll be in to fill you in on what I thought of it soon. All right, so January's pick is done. How You Ruined My Life by Jeff Strand. I'm giving this 3 stars. This was a really fun time. I read it in about a 24-hour period during my 24 and 48-hour readathon this month. Really fast read, like took I think around 2 or so hours to actually get through. And the narrator was quite funny. The narrator loved giving like parenthetical jabs and insights. It very much broke the fourth wall pretty constantly, but with the sense that the main character was writing it, not the author, which I found pretty entertaining. But on the whole, as a YA, this reads as a really young YA, which is fine, but not necessarily what I was expecting. The plot and the characters were kind of 2D to me, so although I had a fun time, I didn't feel any deep connection to it. This is about this guy. His name is Rodney, and he's in this band, and his life is going really great. All of a sudden, his rich cousin comes to spend 3 months with him and his mom. He feels like his cousin is trying to intentionally sabotage his life, and that's what the whole book is about. It's like gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss from his cousin. And it's just, you really quickly see Rodney lose his mind a little, but also you know that what Rodney thinks Blake is doing, Blake is doing. You just also see how everybody else is like, what is wrong with you? It was an interesting read and a good start to the BUZZWORDAthon for the year. For the February buzzword of verb, I read I Crawl Through It by A.S. King. When I originally bought this from the Dollar Tree, I thought I had not yet read an A.S. King book. I had read like Ask the Passengers or something like that, and I hadn't known that at the time that I read it because that was before I knew who A.S. King was as an author. It was also a Dollar Tree read. That's just an interesting thing to note. I gave this 4 stars. I flew through this one. It's magical realism, YA contemporary, but so surrealist and interesting, and like in a way where both nothing makes sense and also everything makes perfect sense. Like I was following along just fine, but it's weird and wacky, but like in a way that I got. So I really enjoyed this one, and I particularly enjoyed watching the ways in which the different characters dealt with particular traumas through the like magical realism aspect of this. It's hard to describe what this is about because even the synopsis in the front like doesn't explain it well at all. But we're basically following these like 4 teenagers who go to the same school. The school keeps receiving a lot of threats and people are trying to find out who's sending the threats. At the same time, we learn that these 4 teens are a little bizarre. One of them is building an invisible helicopter. Well, he can see it, and one of the other characters can see it on Tuesdays, but no other times. One of the characters is like obsessed with dissecting frogs. One has swallowed herself, whatever that means, and then one has hair that grows when she lies. So we're just following them really as the helicopter finishes being built and the threats are like escalating at school. This was weird and interesting, and I hesitate to say wonderful because it dealt with some really heavy topics, but also just like reading this was crazy in a good way. So I'm really glad I picked this one up. For the March buzzword of secret, I read It's Not Like It's a Secret, and I gave this 3.5 stars. This is a YA contemporary romance, make it queer, about this girl whose name I forget. And she moves from Wisconsin to California. And she goes from being the only Asian kid in the whole community to being in an area very populated by other Asian students. And she also finds this one Latina girl who she really falls like head over heels for, named Jamie, and she joins cross country to try and get to know her. And things kind of go from there. This does deal with some heavy topics, like from the beginning, we learn that the main character believes that her father is cheating on her mother, and more than that, she thinks that's the reason they're moving to California is so that he can be closer to her. And we also have lots of discussions about race and stereotype in this book, as well as sexuality, but this didn't give me everything that I wanted it to, which is unfortunate, although I still do really recommend it, and I thought that it did lots of great things. And of course, it's a pink book, which my friend Danielle would very much approve of. So all in all, I had a good time with this one. For the April prompt of an emotion, I read Guilty by Laura Elliott, which I gave 3 stars. I was enjoying the first half of this immensely, and the second half felt like I was kind of reading an entirely separate book, because we start off by following this man when his niece goes missing and everything that happens surrounding that, but then we jump forward and follow a different character who was covering the news of that disappearance years ago, and that's the only way I can describe it. But it was a quick read and it held my attention, so it was fine, but I honestly don't have that much to say about it. For the May theme of flavors, I read Honey and Spice, which I think counts, so if you don't, oh well. I read this, it's a contemporary romance book, and I gave it 3 stars. Okay, the narrative was cohesive at the beginning, and then by the end I feel like it was trying to do too much, and then there were moments where I also didn't understand the relationship between the 2 main characters, but I found it to be a fascinating book regardless. So in this, we're following a girl, and she hosts this like dating advice radio show at her college campus. She's also like a big advocate for the Black students on her campus, and there's this new guy who comes to campus this year, and he's like dating all the girls, and girls are like fighting over him. And so she makes a comment on her radio show like he's not worth it. She calls him the waste man of Whitehall, and then they're seen together at a party the next day, and so they embark on a fake relationship in order to regain the public favor she kind of lost by insulting him and then being seen with him later on, because it made it seem like she was like going around everybody to try and get him for herself, which was not the case. So they start this fake relationship, and I guess you can see where it would go from there. But yeah, I found the characters to be really interesting and dynamic. I just didn't always fully understand their connection, and again, I think it tried to do just a little too much for me by the end. There were a lot of plot lines that we were following by the end, and they were all interesting, but I think altogether it was just a lot, you know? For the June prompt of Other, I read The Light of Other Days, which I'm giving 2.5 stars. Unfortunately, this just wasn't what I wanted it to be. There were some sections that felt like more 4-star sections, and then some that felt more like 2-star sections, so you know, it evened out to a 2.5. This story is about this big tech company, and they kind of make like a breakthrough in physics for the purpose of media, where they create wormholes to see other places without the people in those places knowing, so that they can like record them and show it to the universe. And so then like the technology kind of gets out of control, and people can basically see anything, and not only anything but any time, because of the way that like time works or whatever. They could either see across distance or time, and so they also look back in history, which was my favorite part, and see like what is true about what we think of history, how evolution worked and all of that, which was the fascinating part. But the rest of it, like the corporate drama and the family drama and stuff, I just didn't care about. So that's on that. And that was actually my last book for this video. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up and comment down below. Did you participate in BUZZWORDATHON this past year? If so, what did you read for some of these prompts? Did you like any books in particular? And subscribe for more reading, writing, and college lifestyle content. And until next time, bye humans, bye!